Hello there. Thank you so much for watching these videos. Okay, welcome back from the break. I encourage you to donate to Crank Luger. The link is here. You give Crank Luger, okay? And then when you click, you go on and subscribe and then donate. In any case, the donations are very useful to us. Okay. All right. So I do have more videos on my Gumroad channel. I do have videos about Adobe Illustrator. I do have videos about the MTN API. I do have videos about Vue Native 2021. And watch the space I'm creating, those for Native Script Review 2021. And then I'll also create for Iconic. And then it will be for the same project. Okay? So, by the time you're watching this video, we have 873 subscribers. Please go ahead and subscribe. Please go ahead and click on the notification bell, comment, like, so that this video that you've admired or watched is suggested with the YouTube algorithm. Okay, I'll go ahead and log in. And today we're going to do Vuex, okay? So if you're watching the mini series, you can watch the one-time video on. Okay, so we're going to log in to that user who right now has a certain number of eggs. So if you want to watch the whole project, please go ahead and donate. Donation is so this person has 15 kilograms, and by the time we went for the break, okay, you could add the stock amount, okay? So I'm going to add 6 kilograms, so 6 plus this, that must be 21. And then the cost, okay, so right now, the cost, I'm still having it in my mind. Should the cost be cost per kilogram plus the addition of the other ones? I need to add it here, or the cost of all you know, in the stock. Let's say you've stocked 100 kilograms and you can calculate the cost. So cost times that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and update, and you'll find that when we update, okay. All right, so the issue is we must clear out, okay, and then we must update these automatically, and that's when Vuex comes in. So when I go back to broilers, and then I come back to layers so that it mounts, actually you can see that we have 33 kilograms. Okay? So I must do something on this. Okay? So maybe after updating, it should disappear. That is the first thing we're going to work on. So after updating, okay, after the change, something should disappear. So that is when Vuex comes in handy. So I already installed Vuex in the beginning, but I'm going to look at it again, okay? So if you go to Google and then you type Vuex, you get this. So the link is there, right? So this is the installation, and the installation depends on the version. So remember that we installed Vuex 3 because we're using version 2, okay? So which means we're going to follow the documentation of Vuex 3. Okay, sorry about that. So what do we need to do? Okay, so this is the installation if you're going to use Vuex 3. And then what do you need to do? You need to import Vuex and do the staging, and that's what we're going to go through. All right, so we're going to go to our software here, and then we create some things. So, okay, after the components, after the routes, what we're going to do, I'm going to go to my JS and then create a new folder, and then I call it Vuex. Okay, so inside that folder, I'm going to right click, and then I create one file called store or storage.js. However, I'm going to call it store.js. All right, in store.js, we are allowed to import the following. We already being given what we need to import. So we're going to import this, and then we shall also see what to export, okay? So when used with the modular system, you must explicitly install Vuex as a plugin, okay? You do not need to do this when using the global script tags. All right, so we've seen that. Let's see now with the getting started, okay? So here is the getting started, and they are asking us to do this. Now, this may be done, okay, right now it is calling it on the whole page itself, okay? Then we need to export and commit anything. All right, so I'm going to go through that. So you can see that they export even the store and it's imported, okay? So you export the store and it is imported. All right, so we need to import view from view, and then view from Vuex, and then use the following. All right, so we're going to do import view from view and then view from Vuex first, okay? And then we shall create a constant that is going to have our mutations, okay? Because here they are being done in one item, okay? And we're going to see how we do that. All right, so let's go ahead and import view and view from Vuex, and then we see how to use them. So we're going to choose to use, okay? And then we're going to choose to use Vuex, okay? And then we create our constant. Okay, so let's go ahead. So we create the constant store, and then it's everything and the mutations, and then we export Vuex. We export store, sorry. So we create the constant store, okay? And then here we export default, and what default are we exporting? Store. Okay, great. So now that we've done that, we need to import this store, okay, so that it can be rendered in our app.js. So we come here and then we choose to import, okay, store from, okay. All right, so we need to, we just need to go in from Vuex stroke store, okay? Then just like we exported the router, so we can add store here. Okay. Right, so we're going to pick from the default and we display it. The default here states count, okay? I won't do that. I think I'll just, instead of having that mutation, I'll give count a word, that these are the feeds amount. These are the feeds amount. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to go to the other side where we need to display it. So I'm going to come to layers here. And then I won't do much, but I'll go to, all right, let me first minimize that. So this is the feeds panel. Okay, and there is an error check there. I'll just do another p tag here. Okay, I don't think I'm using this error check. I don't think I'm using that error check, but I do think, okay, let me just pray that I use it. So we're going to come here, and instead of mounted, we use the computed property. Computed. We don't need the computed for now. Let's just do it so that it displays, okay? So we'll have this dot store with the variable, this dot store dot, okay, get dot getters dot, okay. Now what is the method that we're getting from? Okay, so we need to create that method. So we're going to come back to store.js, okay, and then we create a getters, okay. So getters, okay, getters, I need one that will complete for me. Okay, come on. Okay, getters, let me use maybe, okay, this one will give, okay, this one has given it to me, but so it has given me the function in a different way. an arrow function. So getters is going to be maybe, I'll take in the state. Okay, so it's going to be count. Okay, give count or get count, sorry. Let me just make it simply. Get count, and then it's taking in the state, okay? The state function, okay? And then the state dot value, okay? So the state here will be the state dot value, so the value will be count. Okay, so which means if I come here, getters dot get count, like that. Okay, do I need to terminate? Okay, so we must equate it to something. So we're going to get one here. Okay, we're going to get one here. Instead of eggs and what? We're going to do one that is called, come on, feeds. What did I call it here in the feeds tab? What did I call it? Instead of error check, let's call it get feeds results. Let's say feeds results. Okay, so which means we can add one here called feeds results, feeds results, and it's going to be empty. Therefore, feeds results here will equal to the mutation. So this dot feeds results, this dot feeds results is equal to that on mount. Okay, let's see what we have. One of the things I do have with Vue.js is that, especially when I apply that, the Vue store, you know how to go back to the default. All right, so I think we're missing something. Let me double check. Okay, so the error is warning us about the function, so this doesn't need to be there. Okay, so it's just telling us that this is not a function. So let's see. Okay, if I click, there we are. We have our word, so we've solved that. Okay, so we're going to do something that when this button is pressed, okay, the changes are done within the store, okay? So instead of the Axios running here, okay, instead of the Axios running here in the else, okay, we should take it the other side, okay? So what do we do? Okay, so I'll take away this console. Okay, and then we need to dispatch. So the dispatch will be, okay, so want to dispatch to something here, okay, to a function here. So it will be a dispatch into an action, and then we put a mutation. All right, so here we're having one mutation, okay, but we're going to do that. Okay, so let's see what we can do. I think the dispatch will go to the action, and then we get a mutation. So this count should change, okay, when something is done. All right, so let's dispatch. So I'm going to, let me get the dispatch from, okay, Vuex dispatch. Let me see, dispatch. Okay, dispatch event, Vuex dispatch. Okay, here it is. Oh, dispatch. I want to use this. Okay. So the dispatch will be taking in the function already. Okay. Oh, so it is taking in the function already, but I don't need the function. I just need to dispatch, okay, to the action name. So the action name is going to be, name is going to be maybe update feeds, update layer feeds. Remember, I'm choosing layer feeds because we already have broilers to update layer feeds. Update layer feeds, okay, and the payload is feeds info. The payload is feeds info. Okay, so we're going to take this Axios and paste it in the store. So we're going to come to the store and we create actions, okay? So actions, okay? Here is Vuex actions, and I'll put a comma here. Okay, so actions, we're going to put the update value, okay? So it's going to be, okay, update, the action is update the layer feeds, and then we take in the state and then the payload, and then we commit, and then we shall have it in the mutation, and then the mutation will feed into the state. All right, so I'll just take the action here, which is update layer feeds, and then I just replace it with that. Then the commit here, okay, is going to be a state, okay? The commit here can be a state that we want to change or mutate. So in our mutation, this is increment state, okay? So we're going to say modify layer feeds. Remember, we have for broilers, okay? So this will be state, okay, state. Then this value will be, I don't need the payload, but the payload here is going to be this. The payload was already given here. So the payload is feeds info, okay? The payload is feeds info. And then the commit will come in later, okay, after. So this action can be a sync action, okay, and then we're going to await the Axios response. So await, and in the await, we're going to copy the Axios from here and then we paste it there. So we're going to await Axios and the responses. Okay, so I'm taking it away from there and then bringing it here in the store. Okay, and then, okay, I don't need this. Okay, I need to put it back here. Okay, I just cut it. So here, all right, so we're going to go to this commit here and we add that we want to use a state, okay? Because you already used the state up here, okay? So it is taking in two variables, the state and the, okay, and the feeds. So we're going to use a state dot commit, okay? And then the value that we're going to update. So we're going to update in the mutation. So the mutation is going to be modify layer feeds, okay? So we're going to modify layer feeds, and then the payload will be the response that we get from here. Okay, so we already have this dot layers, which is no longer valid. So we can say let x, maybe let layer feeds, let layer feeds equal to response.data. Okay, so which means here it will be layer feeds, but we need to check the value. So here it will be layer feeds. Okay, so before I take this commit, because I'm supposed to take it up here, let me make sure that actually we're getting the right values after updating. What response do we get? So we're going to do a console.log, console.log, the tag, and then we get the response. We're going to first get the response. Okay, then we see what feedback we get. So we're going to get the response, sorry, not the response.data. We're going to get the response. And we see what we get. So we're going to go ahead and modify. Okay. Update feeds, we add that value and we add this, and then we update. Okay, it is gone well here, and the response is 1, which I don't expect. Okay, let's check something else. What do we have in the console? Okay, in the console we have data 1, status 200, and then okay, so which means we're supposed to get response.data. Okay, let's see, it first responds the data in the like, what do they call it, in the property, or I've forgotten the right word, and then we're supposed to tap into that data. Okay, so you can see the response has everything and even the headers, and then we're supposed to tap into that data that has been given to us. Okay. All right, so the response is 1. So let me double check now what we have from our layers controller. So if I do a die dump here, dd, okay, and I get this variable, I want to double check. And I get that variable because it's supposed to return something for us. Okay, it's supposed to return a callback. And I send data again. I'm going to choose to update. Okay, I have a status 500. I need to check. So let me check my network and see where that issue is coming from. It's talking about the dump. Okay, and preview is here. Preview here is 1. Okay, so what is this one actually that is coming from the responses? So the authenticated user, okay, where the auth user is that. And then, okay, update. Okay. I should actually be, instead of getting 1, because it's responding with the authenticated user, I should be getting the data, okay, from the array. All right, so let's see what we can do about that. So the reason it is returning 1 is because this is just an update function, okay? So if I run here to update, okay, it is just returning true or false whether the update has happened or not, okay? So what am I going to do? Now I need to call this function that fetches for us the actual feeds. So it's the same as saying actually, so call this, okay, and then arrow pointer get layers. Okay, that's a function already up there, so we're calling it within this function. All right, so let's try to update again, of course, and then you can see now, okay, it has returned something for us. So it is returning the data, which is the number of hens and whatsoever for that particular row, okay, of the authenticated user. So in this case, it is user 2. All right, so let me log out and then go to the other side and log in as user 1. Okay, then I choose to log in. Okay, and then we're going to do our updates based on that. So which means what I need to return here is the function. Okay, so I'm going to comment this. and then I write something that says new feeds, okay? So $new feeds will equal to, okay, this dot get layers function, which is already called up there, okay? Then which means here I should be actually getting new feeds. Okay, so which means when I update new feeds, I expect something to come up here in the store.js, okay, on the response, and then the response.data. And then I'll get my state, okay, and put it up there. So I expect something from the tag here, okay. All right, so fingers crossed. I think I need to get now the console ready. Okay, so let's update the feeds and then choose to update. Great, so you can see that we get our data back. So the reason it is responding 1 is just letting us know that actually the update has gone through. So it's like responding with a Boolean value, because here we are only updating. All right, so what do we need to do? Instead, we need to make sure that we get back this data, okay? So this function is already looking for this data, so we don't need to create it, but rather call it. So which means if I come and call it here, so I'll do this, okay? And then point into get layers, and then I run the update again, okay? Let's see what it returns this time around. Right, it returns this value. Okay, so which means I can now equate it to something, and this can be, so I'm going to do new feeds, so $new feeds, okay, new feeds is equal to, which could be new layer feeds, by the way, is equal to this, okay, dot get layers. So this should be new feeds. Okay, so if we do again update, right, so that's something we should see in the preview. It is the same thing. Now we're going to make one error so that you see what is coming. So you could believe that the next thing we should do is get new feeds and put it into this. And then I need to cancel out the die dump. So we do a console.log. For example, if we go to our storage here, right? So we get response.data, okay? And then put it into feeds, and then we see what we get in the console. And it actually works, and it is true. So it has successfully done its duty. And then it is responding, actually, that the number of hens, okay, it is giving us a response. So the number of hens are 0, okay, and then we go to the feeds, okay, which is 103, much as it has not updated here, okay, 103, and then the mortality and whatsoever. So to show you that the feeds are already 103, I just need to click on broilers, and then I come back, okay, you see they are 103. Okay, so which is not bad. If I go back to our console, the tag is undefined. Okay, so you would be thinking, if I remove the array here, okay, then I save and then come back, okay, I'm going to come back to, okay, I really hate it that it has to refresh. And then I click on layers, and then I try to update. Okay, then I update. I actually get a response now that I've removed the array tag. But then the response, you'll find that I have to get into this original, okay? And into the original now, that's where the content is, okay? Which something is not something that we want. It is because here, when we go back to the controller, we are returning a JSON already that is returned here, a JSON response into another JSON response. So instead, what we should do, we should be returning new feeds only. So we should be returning new feeds only because it's already a JSON response. All right, so if we run to update, okay, so what we get here is a tag, and you can see that we have our first array, okay, and then right. So which means, again, we can now come back and then add our first look into the array here in the store, okay. All right. So which means, again, okay, if I update, I'm supposed to be getting the data from the array. So I click, then I choose to update. Okay, so I get a clean array. So which means I can tap into this array and make sure that now everything updates based on the mutation. So we're going to go back to our storage, okay, and then we get the commit. So state.commit, okay, instead of the console, it will be taking in the layer feeds, okay. So it modifies, and then we go to my layer feeds here, okay, and then we take in the state, and then we also take in the payload. So the payload is already here, layer feeds, okay. So the state, and then comma the payload. So now this will be now state.count, okay, will equal, so remember we're still on count, will equal to, okay, layer feeds. All right, so I've not tapped on what I wanted to return in the JSON response, that's okay, but I don't need to return everything. All right, so which means if I click on home, go to layers, try to update the feeds, okay, this should change, and then I update, okay, layer feeds is non-defined, I need to check that. Layer feeds, modify layer feeds is non-defined. Okay, state.okay, this is supposed to be a string, sorry for that. That is supposed to be a string. Okay, again we can refresh. Right, so we go to layers, we choose to update, okay, and then choose to update. All right, so it has updated, but actually it has not changed here, which we would expect it to change. It's because we need to have now a computed property. So I'm going to go back to my layers here, and then I write a computed property that will take in this, because right now it is onto this function. Okay, so I'll take in the computed property, so I take it outside, away from this, or even write a function that fetches that. So I'll do take a computed property. So computed, I'll take v computed. Okay, and this computed is going to take in a name, so it can be new feeds, maybe new feeds. New feeds for the start, but remember that's not what we need. And then new feeds is going to equal to this. So new feeds is going to return that. All right, so me changing this does not mean that the magic will work straight away, okay? If I update, nothing has changed. Okay, because we need to call the computed property here. So new feeds. So instead, here where we have this, where is it? Instead here where we have, where is it? Feeds results, we should have new feeds there. Okay, so here it is bringing in the new feed amount and new feed weight. So I need to check what actually we're missing. Okay. New feeds, I think I already have new feeds used, and that's why it is giving me that. So instead of new feeds, we should give it a different name. So new feeds layers. New feeds layers. Hope this is not used because we already have new feeds here, so it was giving us empty properties. Okay, so new feeds layers. So great. So let's see new feeds layer. Right, so if we update, something new should show, which that something new is not showing. So why isn't it showing? I need to double check. So the computed is returning this. Okay, it should be returning that straight away. So new feeds.get count. Okay. So let's see what we have and then update. Okay, I should double check. I think something is not coming out well. Property new feeds layer is not defined on the instance but referenced. Okay. All right, so new feeds layers. All right, so it's supposed to be new feeds layers, and here I only took new feeds layer. Wow, it's actually a toss. All right, so let's double check this time around. There we go. So we have the results, and then which means these new results can be fed here because now it's 123. So which means I can come here and do new feeds layer dot, okay, so dot what? So I already have the values here, dot feeds. There we go, 123. So which means now the update here should be reading, instead of reading, okay, from the, after a route, it should be reading from this, okay? But still you're going to see that it's going to be another error. So, okay, I'm going to take this now. I'm going to take it for a moment, and then I come and paste it in where we have layers. Okay, so layers.feeds is going to be taking in new feeds. Okay, so by default it should be taking in that. All right, so that is what it has given us. So let's go to broilers and come back to layers, and we'll see if we have the magic working. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add, okay, add up. So 3 plus 3, which is giving us 6, and there we go, it has updated straight away. All right, so let's take a break, and let's meet after the break, and we see how now to work it out with other things. For example, we've been able to modify. Wow.